My ex-girlfriend cropped me out of every photo and called me a downgrade. So I exposed her lies and watched her fake empire collapse. I'm Ryan, 33, male, and I've been working as a welder at this shipyard for about 10 years now. It's good money, honest work, and I get to build stuff with my hands. I started as an apprentice right after trade school and worked my way up to lead welder on some pretty sick projects. Military vessels, massive cargo ships, even some custom work for private yachts that cost more than most people's houses. I grew up in a small town outside of Steubenville. My dad was a steelworker before the mills closed down. I watched him struggle to reinvent himself at 45, when the only thing he knew how to do suddenly wasn't needed anymore. I learned early that you've got to be self-reliant in life. No company's going to look out for you, no matter how many years you put in. I've got my own place, a 2-bedroom rental house with a garage where I work on my project car, a 1967 Camaro that's been my obsession since I was 24. I found it as a rusted-out shell at a junkyard, and I've been bringing it back to life, piece by piece. I just installed a rebuilt 327 small block that I scored from this old dude who was clearing out his garage. The thing absolutely screams. Neighbors probably hate me, but whatever. I've got a dog named Brutus, this big goofy pit mix that follows me everywhere. I rescued him 3 years ago when the shelter was going to put him down for being too aggressive. Now he's basically a 70-pound lapdog who thinks he's still a puppy. He's got one ear that never stands upright, and these eyes that make it impossible to stay mad at him, even when he chews up my work boots. Dating's been hit or miss over the years. I had a long-term thing with my high school girlfriend, but that ended when she cheated with some dude from her college. I had a few short relationships after that, nothing that stuck. I was single for about 2 years before I met my girlfriend, 29, female, Tiffany. I met her at this UFC watch party at my buddy Dave's place. I almost didn't go because I'd been working overtime all week and was beat. But Dave insisted. He's been my boy since high school, an electrician at the same shipyard, always has my back. His wife, Jenna, invited a bunch of her coworkers, and Tiffany was one of them. She stood out immediately, blonde, stunning green eyes, and that perfect kind of look where you know she spent hours on it, but it's supposed to look effortless. Watching the fight, I was surprised when she came over and sat next to me instead of hanging with the other marketing types. I was even more surprised when she actually knew her MMA. Not just the basics either. She was breaking down Poirier's fighting style and called the submission before it happened. "Most guys try to mansplain the fights to me," she said with this little smirk. "It's refreshing to watch with someone who just enjoys it." She worked in marketing for some luxury cosmetics brand, way out of my league looks-wise, but we hit it off and spent the whole night talking. She seemed genuinely interested in my job, asked smart questions about welding that weren't the usual "isn't that dangerous" crap I usually get. I got her number that night, took her to this burger joint I like for our first date. Before we could even get our food, she whipped out her phone and spent like 10 minutes arranging the table, moving stuff around, and taking about 30 pictures of everything. "Sorry," she laughed, seeing my confusion. "It's for my socials. My followers expect content. I've got this whole aesthetic thing going." She showed me her Instagram, 47,000 followers, all these perfectly curated photos of her life, fashion, travel, food, beauty products. Everything looked like something out of a magazine. Should have been my first warning sign, but when a woman who looks like that is into you, you tend to ignore red flags. Plus, I figured everyone's on social media these days. It's just how people are now, right? The next 6 months were pretty good sometimes. When Tiffany wasn't obsessed with her phone, we had fun. She'd come to my place, hang out in the garage while I worked on the Camaro, ask questions, hand me tools. She'd ask about my welding projects, seemed impressed by the stuff I built, and loved that I worked with my hands. Said it was refreshingly masculine compared to the soft boys she usually dated. "You're a real man," she'd say. "You actually know how to build things, fix things. Most guys I've dated can't even change a tire." That was another thing. She was constantly putting down other men, especially her exes, while talking about how different I was. "Most guys don't know how to be real men anymore, but you're not afraid to get your hands dirty. It's nice dating someone with actual skills, instead of just another marketing bro who thinks he's special because he can make a PowerPoint." That kind of stuff. At first, it felt good. Eventually, though, it started feeling weird. like she was dating me to make some kind of point, rather than because she actually liked me for me. There were other signs I ignored too, like how she'd make me change my clothes if they didn't match her outfit for Instagram, or how she'd get pissed if I started eating before she got the perfect food pic, or the time she literally made us leave a restaurant because the lighting sucks and none of these photos are usable. We'd be having a good time somewhere, and then she'd spend 45 minutes trying to get the perfect shot, redoing her makeup in the bathroom, changing angles, making me take dozens of photos. By the time she got what she wanted, the moment was gone, and so was my patience. But everything else was great. The chemistry between us was intense. She could be funny and engaging when her phone wasn't in her hand. Plus she seemed genuinely into me, which boosted my ego after being single so long. So I overlooked the shallow stuff. My friend Carter couldn't stand her though. "She's using you as a prop, man," he'd say whenever we'd grab lunch at work. Carter's a crane operator at the shipyard, been my friend since my first day there. Carter had seen through her from day one, but I just accused him of being jealous that I was getting regular action while he was going through a divorce. His wife had left him for her CrossFit coach 6 months earlier, so I figured he was just bitter about relationships in general. "You're blinded by the packaging," he warned me. "She's got you thinking you hit the jackpot, but trust me, women like that always have an angle." That ended up causing a rift between us. We went from hanging out every week to barely speaking at work. That's one of my biggest regrets in all this. Letting a woman come between me and one of the most solid friendships I'd ever had. Don't do it, fellas. 2 months ago, Tiffany's college roommate, Vanessa, got engaged to some tech bro, Brandon I think his name was, guy who wore Patagonia vests and wouldn't shut up about his Tesla. They were throwing this massive engagement party at a lake house resort about 3 hours from the city. Tiffany had been obsessing over this party for weeks. "The location is freaking insane, Ryan. The photos are going to be amazing," she kept saying. Brandon rented out this entire lakefront property. There was going to be a professional photographer, a sushi chef flown in from LA, even a freaking flower wall for Instagram shots. My content is going to be epic. I wasn't exactly thrilled about spending a weekend with a bunch of people I didn't know, but it seemed important to her, so I agreed to go. Thought maybe I'd get to know her friends better, see another side of her life. I went all out for this thing, bought a new blazer, nice jeans, got a haircut, even had my beard professionally trimmed. When I picked her up that Saturday, she looked absolutely stunning in this tight red dress that showed off her figure. She barely acknowledged the compliment, too busy checking her reflection in her phone camera. "Do you think this dress will photograph well against the sunset?" I'm worried the red might clash with the golden hour lighting. The engagement party was at this ridiculous lake house with floor-to-ceiling windows and a massive deck overlooking the water. We're talking private dock, infinity pool, home theater, the works. The party was in full swing when we arrived, at least 100 people mingling around, all looking like they'd stepped out of a magazine. There was a live band playing on the lawn, servers circulating with trays of fancy appetizers, and yes, that ridiculous flower wall, where people were taking turns posing for photos. We had drinks, mingled with Tiffany's friends, who all looked eerily similar to her. Same highlighted hair, same makeup, same clothes. And yeah, took about 1 million photos. Tiffany was in her element, working the room, making sure to be seen with all the right people. This is where I met Josh, Vanessa's brother, and probably the only normal person at this whole party. Josh was a firefighter, down-to-earth guy, who seemed as out of place as I felt. "You look about as comfortable as I feel," he said with a grin, extending his hand. We ended up hanging out by the bar most of the night, bonding over being the regular guys in a sea of Instagram wannabes. Josh was easy to talk to. No pretense, no posturing, just straightforward conversation about work, sports, normal stuff. Despite all that, the night wasn't terrible. Tiffany introduced me to her friends as her boyfriend, held my hand, kissed me in public, and seemed genuinely proud to be with me. She kept pulling me into photos, asking strangers to take pics of us together. "You're actually photogenic when you try," she said after reviewing one of the shots. "Just need to work on your smile." The next morning, I woke up early while Tiffany was still passed out, made some coffee, and figured I'd check Instagram to see if any party pics were up yet. I was curious to see what the professional photographer had captured. Sure enough, Tiffany had been busy before falling asleep. She'd posted 18 stories and 1 post on her main feed. But something was off. In every single photo where we had been together, I was gone. not just a few pics, every single one. She'd cropped me out of all the couple shots. The photos other guests had taken of us together had been edited to feature just her. Even our selfies had been cropped to eliminate me completely. In some group shots where I was visible in the background, she'd actually blurred my face. Who even does that? The caption was what really got me, supporting my bestie on her special night, surrounded by so much love, but still waiting for my own Prince Charming. #match forever, #third wheel, #still searching, #work hard engagement season, #still freaking searching. I stared at my phone, feeling like someone had kicked me in the nuts. We'd been dating for 6 months. I scrolled through the comments, and it got worse. Guys were hitting on her, and she was responding with flirty comments. Some dude wrote, "How are you still single? The men in your city must be blind." And she replied, "Just waiting for someone on my level." On her level? What the actual hell? 6 months of dating, and apparently, I was her dirty little secret. Or worse, I was there to be her real-life companion but not good enough to be acknowledged in her online persona. I felt sick, embarrassed, angry, but mostly confused. Why date me if she was so ashamed of being seen with me? Was our entire relationship just for her private entertainment while she maintained this fictional single life for social media? I went out on the cabin's deck with my coffee, trying to process what I was seeing, tried to come up with some explanation that wasn't as bad as it seemed. Maybe it was some weird marketing strategy for her brand. Maybe she had a reason for keeping her relationship private online. But deep down, I knew exactly what this was. I just wasn't ready to admit it yet. When Tiffany finally woke up, I just handed her my phone with her Instagram post open and waited. She glanced at it, then at me, completely unbothered. "What's with this?" I asked, keeping my voice casual. "You cropped me out of every single photo and said you're still searching for someone." She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. "It's just Instagram, Ryan. It's not that deep." The complete dismissal in her tone made my blood boil, but I kept it together. I wanted to understand the reasoning, to hear her actually explain herself. "I'm just curious about the reasoning," I said. "We spent the whole night together. People saw us together. You introduced me as your boyfriend, but online you're acting single and cropped me out of existence." She sighed, this annoyed sigh, like I was a child who couldn't grasp a simple concept. She sat on the edge of the bed, still scrolling through her phone as she spoke. "My followers expect a certain aesthetic. The algorithm responds better to solo shots of me, especially at aspirational locations. And the third wheel angle," she hesitated just long enough for me to know whatever came next was going to be BS. "It's just for engagement. People relate to the single girl at an engagement party thing more than couple content. It gets more likes, more comments. It's just business, really." I nodded slowly, watching her face carefully. "So it has nothing to do with being embarrassed to be seen with me? Because cropping someone out of every single photo seems like a lot of work if it's just about the algorithm." That's when she showed her true colors. Instead of a quick denial, she gave me this look, pure contempt. Then she actually smirked, not even trying to hide it. Honestly, I didn't want people thinking I downgraded. The words hung there between us. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, even though part of me had already guessed it. "Downgraded," I repeated, wanting to make sure I wasn't misunderstanding. "Look," she said, suddenly defensive, putting her phone down for the first time. "My ex was a fitness model. The one before him played minor league baseball. My followers have certain expectations. You're nice enough, but you're a welder, Ryan. You drive a 10-year-old truck. Your idea of dressing up is a clean flannel shirt. You don't exactly fit the image I've built." 6 months together, and this was what she really thought of me. Not someone she cared about, but a freaking downgrade. Someone she was embarrassed to be associated with publicly. All those times she seemed proud to be with me, just an act when it was convenient apparently. "I see," was all I said, my voice steady despite the rage and humiliation building inside me. "Don't make this a thing," she sighed, already reaching for her phone again, like the conversation was boring her. "It's just social media, it's not real life. You should be grateful I'm even with you in real life. Do you know how many guys would kill to be in your position?" The "you should be grateful" comment. That was the final straw. "Grateful," I repeated. "I should be grateful that you're willing to sleep with me in private but won't acknowledge me in public? That's some real high school Tiffany." Her eyes widened at my tone. I don't think she'd ever heard me really angry before. God, you're being so sensitive, she said. This is why I keep my relationships offline. Men get so weird and possessive about this stuff. I didn't argue. I simply nodded, finished my coffee, and told her I needed to head out early for a work emergency. She barely looked up from her phone as I left, probably already calculating how she'd spin this to her followers if needed. Maybe I'd become the toxic ex in her next redemption narrative. I drove home alone, thinking about all the red flags I'd ignored, all the times she'd roll her eyes, criticize my clothes, my truck, and now she's trying to act like I was lucky to be with her. I'd been played for a fool, but that was about to change. If Instagram was so important to her, if her carefully curated online presence was what she truly valued, then that's where the consequences should happen. I wasn't usually the type for revenge. When my girlfriend cheated on me in college, I just walked away. But this was straight up contempt and disrespect, and I wasn't about to let it slide. First, I called Josh, Vanessa's brother, that I'd met at the party. We'd exchanged numbers to hang out sometime. I explained what happened, without being dramatic about it. She did this to my buddy Alex, too, Josh said after a pause. They dated for like 4 months before you. I always thought it was weird, but she told Vanessa he preferred keeping their relationship private because of his high-profile job or something. High-profile job? I asked, already suspecting the answer. Yeah, she made it sound like he was some hotshot executive. Pretty sure he works at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Nothing wrong with that, but it's hardly high-profile, you know. Vanessa even called her out on it once, and Tiffany got super defensive, saying we wouldn't understand personal branding. Josh connected me with Alex and we met up at this sports bar near my place the next day. Turns out, he wasn't any kind of executive. He was an assistant manager at a car rental place. Decent guy, kind of quiet but smart. She did the same thing to me, he confirmed, showing me screenshots he'd saved on his phone. For 4 months, I was her boyfriend in private and didn't exist on her Instagram. We went to Cancun together for a week, and if you looked at her social media, you'd think she went alone. She'd literally wait until I went to the bathroom to take solo shots at dinner, acting like she was having this glamorous solo meal. When I finally asked her about it, she said her personal brand was more important than my feelings, and that I should be secure enough not to need public validation. Made me feel like I was crazy for even bringing it up. And the guy before you, the minor league baseball player? I asked. Alex laughed. Kevin? He played college baseball. Minor league is stretching it. He's a high school PE teacher now. Nice dude, actually. We're in the same football league. She did the same thing to him, made it sound like he was some pro athlete to her followers when really he coached JV baseball at the local high school. Then I met Carter for lunch and filled him in. Instead of saying I told you so, he helped me go full detective mode. That's a real friend right there, the kind who drops the past drama immediately when you need them. She's been playing you, man, he said. But you're not alone. Let's figure out just how deep this rabbit hole goes. Between Carter, Josh, and Alex's connections, I tracked down 3 of Tiffany's exes in total over the next week. All had similar stories. All had been erased, diminished, or misrepresented online, and none of them matched the idealized descriptions she'd given me. The fitness model was a personal trainer at Planet Fitness, who'd done exactly 1 photo shoot for a local supplement store. The startup founder worked at a cell phone kiosk at the mall, but had a drop-shipping side hustle. We created a group chat to compare notes. It was validating in a weird way, knowing I wasn't crazy, that this was her pattern. But it was also depressing to realize how many guys she'd done this to, how calculated it all was. Meanwhile, Tiffany acted like our confrontation had never happened. She texted normally, made plans for the weekend, even sent me links to restaurants she wanted to try. Not once did she acknowledge what she'd said or how it might have affected me. In her mind, it was a non-issue. When I didn't respond to her texts for 2 days, she switched tactics, sending these concerned messages. Are you still upset about the Instagram thing? It's really not a big deal. I think you're overreacting. It's just social media, not real life. Fine, I'll post 1 picture of us if it's that important to you. I didn't even give a damn about getting posted. It was like she couldn't even conceptualize that the problem was her attitude, not the specific actions. She thought she could throw me a bone, and I'd roll over like an obedient dog. This is also when I met Megan, Alex's sister, who worked as a social media manager for an actual big company, like Fortune 500 level, not just some influencer with bot followers. When Alex told her what was happening, she immediately offered to help with what came next. "I'm so sick of fake influencers making everyone feel like crap," she said when we met for coffee. "They're creating this completely unrealistic standard that's messing with people's heads. Let me help you take her down." Megan was smart, funny, and actually genuine. The complete opposite of Tiffany. She explained how the influencer world really worked, the metrics, the follower fraud, all the behind-the-scenes manipulation that created these supposedly perfect feeds. "What she's doing isn't just shitty to you guys personally," Megan explained. "She's actively participating in a system that's harmful to everyone. These influencers sell this fake lifestyle, make people feel inadequate, and then market products as the solution. It's predatory." With Megan on board, what had started as personal revenge started feeling more like justice. Like we were exposing something that actually needed exposing. Not just for the 6 guys Tiffany had jerked around, but for the thousands of followers being sold a complete fiction. On day 8, I executed my plan with Carter and Megan's help. First, I created a new Instagram account, betrayal Tiffany Bennett. I uploaded the unedited engagement party photos showing us together. Screenshots of her still searching posts alongside photos of us clearly as a couple from the same events. I included testimonials from her exes, with their permission, revealing the pattern of public erasure and private denigration. But that was just the beginning. With Megan's expertise, we found something even more damaging. Tiffany had been buying followers and engagement, thousands of them. Megan showed me how to pull the data proving it. The suspicious follower growth patterns, the engagement that didn't match her supposed reach, the identical bot comments appearing across her posts. We also discovered she'd been lying to the brands she represented about her actual reach and engagement. She was charging companies for sponsored posts based on follower counts that were largely fake, essentially defrauding these businesses. But the real knockout punch, a video compilation of Tiffany's own words, secretly recorded during our final conversation. I had invited her over for dinner at my place, 3 days after the engagement party. Throughout the evening, I carefully steered the conversation towards social media, authenticity, and relationships. With my phone recording in my pocket, I asked variations of the same questions I'd asked at the resort, this time acting like I was trying to understand her perspective. She elaborated on her philosophy without hesitation. "Instagram is more important than people realize. It's not just photos. It's literally currency, social capital. People judge you by who you associate with. It's why I'm so careful about who I let into my feed." "So I'm bad for your brand?" I asked, keeping my tone casual. She sighed impatiently. "You're not bad, you're just basic. My audience expects a certain lifestyle. They want aspiration, not some regular guy who works with his hands. Sorry if that hurts your feelings, but that's the reality." "And your exes, were they all on brand?" "God, no. Alex was the most boring person ever. Kevin taught high school, for God's sake. Dylan had potential, but drove a freaking Ford Focus." She actually laughed. "But online, they didn't exist, and my engagement was better for it. You should see how pathetic some of these guys get when I crop them out. Like their whole identity depends on being seen with me." The recording continued for 20 excruciating minutes as she explained, with breathtaking callousness, how she saw relationships as accessories to be displayed or concealed depending on their social media value. She talked about her followers like they were idiots who would buy anything she endorsed. She mocked the women who DM'd her asking for advice. She bragged about how she'd manipulated brand deals, inflated her rates, and lied about product results. "These beauty companies are so desperate for influencers, they don't even check if the products actually work," she said, laughing. "I've endorsed creams I've never even opened. As long as you tag them and use the right hashtags, they keep sending free stuff and checks." With all this material collected, Megan helped me build a website, TiffanyBennettExposed.com. We posted everything: the photos, the recordings, the evidence of buying followers, the testimonials from exes. We even found old social media posts where she'd mocked her followers, calling them basic bitches who will buy anything I tell them to. The site wasn't just a hit piece. It was organized into sections with clear evidence for each claim. A section on relationship deception with testimonials from the exes. A section on follower fraud with Megan's analysis of the data. A section on brand misrepresentation with screenshots of her claims versus reality. And of course the recordings where she admitted to all of it in her own words. Then came the strategic attack. I posted everything at exactly 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, when I knew her daily analytics check occurred. We sent anonymous tips to all 17 brands she had partnerships with, including links to the website, and specific evidence of her follower fraud. Megan used her industry connections to tip off 2 major marketing blogs that covered influencer scandals. We also sent information to a popular TikTok account that specialized in exposing influencer fraud. They had millions of followers and had been responsible for bringing down several fake influencers in the past. Then I tagged everyone, her friends, her colleagues, her family members, her exes, and most importantly the luxury brands she partnered with professionally, in a single post that simply said, "The truth about Tiffany Bennett," with a link to the website. The account went from 0 to over 3,000 followers in under 2 hours. By noon it had been shared in Instagram stories by dozens of people in her network, including Vanessa's fiancé, who apparently had never liked Tiffany anyway. "Always knew she was fake," he wrote in his story. "This is why we didn't make her a bridesmaid." At 12:37 p.m., my phone began ringing. "Tiffany." I declined the call, then another and another. Text messages flooded in. "What the actual F are you doing? Delete this right now. You're ruining my life. My brand partnerships are all contacting me. I will sue you for everything you have." I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I blocked her number and went to work. My shift at the shipyard, welding steel plates that day, felt especially satisfying, like I was finally building something worthwhile. Consequences for someone who thought she was untouchable. By midday, the guys at work had somehow found out. News travels fast in a shipyard. A couple of the younger welders came up during lunch break. "Dude, is that your girlfriend getting destroyed all over TikTok?" one asked, showing me his phone where Tiffany's scandal was trending in several hashtags. I just shrugged. Ex-girlfriend. And yeah, that's her. Word spread, and by afternoon, I was getting fist bumps from guys I barely knew. There's something about shipyard workers. We might give each other crap all day, but when one of us gets wronged, everyone rallies. Carter was beaming like a proud dad from his crane cab, giving me a thumbs up whenever our paths crossed. When I got home that night, Tiffany's white BMW was parked outside my house. She was sitting on my porch steps, mascara running down her face, looking absolutely wrecked. When she saw me pull up, she ran over before I could even get out of my truck. "Please," she begged, grabbing my arm as I stepped down. "Please take it all down. I've lost 3 partnerships already. My agent dropped me. People are DMing me horrible things. My comments are flooded. I can't even open my social apps without having a panic attack." I just looked at her. The perfect makeup was gone. The carefully crafted image had crumbled. For the first time since I'd known her, Tiffany looked real and desperate. "It's just social media, Tiffany. It's not that deep, right?" I said, throwing her own words back at her. Her face crumpled. "You don't understand," she cried, clutching at my jacket. "This is my career, my whole life. Everything I've built for years. I'm going to lose my apartment, my sponsors, everything. Maybe you should be grateful I even bothered to expose the real you," I said, echoing her words from the resort. "Do you know how many people would kill to have someone care enough to be honest about them? I'm sorry, okay?" she shouted, her voice breaking. "I was wrong. I was shallow and stupid and wrong." "Is that what you want to hear? You've made your point. Now please, just take it down." "Like you took down all those photos of us?" I asked. "Like you erased me from your life whenever it was convenient? Like you lied to all those brands and followers?" "That's different, and you know it," she hissed, her desperation turning to anger. "This is my livelihood you're destroying. This is actual harm, not just hurt feelings." "Funny," I replied, "how it's just social media when you're humiliating someone else, but it's actual harm when it happens to you. Maybe spend some time thinking about that." I walked past her into my house and locked the door. Through the window, I could see her pounding on the door, screaming my name, completely falling apart on my front porch. Part of me felt bad. Most of me felt like justice was finally being served. I texted Josh to let him know what was happening, and he offered to come get her. "She's been calling Vanessa nonstop too," he said. "This is probably for the best." She needed a reality check. The fallout was more spectacular than I could have imagined. Within 48 hours, all 17 of her brand partnerships had publicly severed ties with her. The beauty company she worked for put her on administrative leave pending investigation after the recordings revealed she'd been bad-mouthing their products while promoting them online. Her follower count dropped by 30% as people unfollowed in droves. Vanessa, the engaged friend, publicly disowned her on Instagram, posting a long statement about toxic friendships and the importance of authenticity. Apparently, Tiffany had been talking crap about Vanessa's engagement ring and fiancé in our recorded conversation too, calling the 3-carat diamond embarrassingly small and Brandon a tech bro who got lucky with crypto, but has no actual style. Tiffany's social media spiral was something to behold. First, a tearful apology video that rang hollow against the evidence, then making her account private, then public again with comments limited, then deleted entirely for a day, before reactivating with all posts archived. Finally, a long Notes app apology blaming her behavior on insecurity and industry pressure. Too little too late. The internet has a long memory, and screenshots of her worst moments were already cemented in the influencer drama Hall of Fame. Meanwhile, she was desperately trying to reach me. After I blocked her number, she created new email addresses, made fake Instagram accounts, even sent letters to my house. At first it was all rage, threatening lawsuits, empty threats, truth is an absolute defense, claiming I'd ruined her life, saying I was pathetic for being so hurt by her rejection. Then came the bargaining, offering money, saying she'd make it all up to me if I just took the website down. Then depression. Long rambling messages about how she couldn't eat or sleep, how brands wouldn't even respond to her emails, how her apartment management was threatening eviction because she couldn't make rent. I had to sell my Peloton and designer bags just to cover next month's rent. One message read, "My parents won't even take my calls. They're so ashamed." Is that what you wanted? I didn't respond to any of it, not out of cruelty, but because I knew engaging would just drag me back into her toxic orbit. She needed to face the consequences of her actions without me softening the blow. Finally, about 3 weeks in, something that resembled genuine remorse. I understand now what I did to you and to everyone. I've been living for likes and validation so long that I lost sight of what matters. The image became more important than the reality. I know you probably won't forgive me, but I am truly sorry, not for the consequences, but for who I became. Please, I'm begging you. I have nothing left. Just take down the website. I don't even care about the Instagram account anymore. I didn't respond, but I thought about it a lot. Was this enough? Had she learned? Was I being too harsh? Then Megan forwarded me screenshots from a private group chat where Tiffany was still active. In it she was telling people, just playing the victim card until this blows over. Once he takes down the website, I'm going to rebuild with a redemption arc narrative. Trust me, this will actually help my brand long term. So much for genuine remorse. After talking it over with Carter, who was firmly in the leave it up forever camp, and Josh, who thought I'd made my point, I decided on a middle path. I'd keep the evidence up, but remove some of the more personal stuff. The recordings of her talking about other relationships, some of the more humiliating personal details. It's been 3 months now. I've kept the modified website up, though I did remove some of the more personal recordings after her mom reached out to me directly. A sincere, heartbroken email from a woman who was clearly mortified by her daughter's behavior but still loved her. The revenge did what it needed to do. As for me, I'm doing better than ever. Carter and I are back to being tight, our friendship stronger than before. I've been hanging out with Josh and Alex regularly. Turns out, it's nice to have friends who've been through the same crap. Josh even got me onto his firefighters softball team as a way to meet new people outside my usual circles. And Megan and I have been dating for about a month now. It started slowly, just grabbing coffee to talk about the website, then lunch to discuss the aftermath, then dinner that had nothing to do with Tiffany at all. She's smart, genuine, and completely upfront about everything. She posts pics of us together all the time, unfiltered, unedited, just two real people actually enjoying each other's company. This is what social media should be, she told me on our third date. A reflection of your actual life, not some fake version you're trying to sell. That hit me hard. I'd never thought about it that way. That social media could actually be something positive if used honestly. I'd just written the whole thing off as toxic after my experience with Tiffany. My Camaro project is coming along too, got it painted finally. Glossy black with matte racing stripes. Megan loves riding in it. Says it has character. Unlike the cookie-cutter luxury cars everyone in her industry drives to look successful. We took it on a weekend road trip to this mountain lake last week. Posted a selfie by the water, got like 40 likes, mostly from friends and family. And you know what? That felt more real than anything I'd experienced with Tiffany. Speaking of Tiffany, last I heard, she moved back to her hometown and got a job managing social media for a local real estate company. She's rebuilt some of her following with a new authenticity and transparency rebrand, posting about what she's learned and her journey to being real. Her new bio says, "Finding my authentic self beyond the filters." Whether that's genuine growth or just another angle, I don't know or care. Sometimes I think maybe I went too far. But then I remember her smirk when she called me a downgrade. I remember the hurt in Alex's eyes when he talked about how she'd made him feel worthless. I remember all the young women following her who thought her perfect, filtered life was real. Some lessons are expensive but necessary, and sometimes the only way to fight fake is with real. Edit 1. To those asking if this was really necessary, yes. This wasn't about one thoughtless comment. It was about a pattern of dehumanizing behavior she'd been engaging in for years with multiple partners. Sometimes public consequences are the only ones that register with people who only care about their public image. Edit 2. No, I'm not worried about legal repercussions. Everything I posted was either demonstrably true or directly from her own mouth. I consulted with a lawyer before proceeding. Edit 3. For those asking for the website link, nice try, but I'm not sharing it here and risking a doxing ban. The site serves its purpose for those who need to see it. Edit 4. To the dude saying I'm just bitter, whatever man. Wait till it happens to you.